I woke up to silence. I ran to check the safe in Mom's closet. It was wide open. Empty. My $20 million gone. My hands shook as I read the message on my phone. Thanks for your money. Now we can live our dream life. Mom and Eric had taken everything. A tear slipped down my cheek, but then I smiled. They had no idea what was really in that bag. If you love shocking family drama, subscribe now and turn on the bell so you never miss the next twist. I never thought I'd see the day I could walk into a bank and ask for $20 million. It still felt unreal, even as I signed the withdrawal forms. The teller's eyes went wide, and a manager had to come over to double-check everything. I kept reminding myself, this is my money. I worked for this. I deserve this. For years, I dreamed of a beautiful home where I could feel safe. Somewhere with big windows that let the sun pour in, a backyard where I could plant flowers, and a kitchen that smelled like fresh bread. I spent sleepless nights working 2 jobs, saving every penny. I turned down vacations, parties, even a new phone, because every cent went toward my dream. I guess Mom and Eric never really believed in me. They always told me I was chasing a fantasy. Why don't you just help us out instead? Mom would say whenever I tried to tell her about my dream house. Eric, my little brother, was worse. You think you're better than us just because you have money? He'd snap whenever I came home from work looking tired. But I wasn't trying to be better than them. I just wanted something of my own. A place where nobody could yell at me, where I could lock the door and breathe. After I took the money from the bank, I was so scared someone might rob me on the way home that my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I couldn't buy the house right away because the owner was out of town and needed 3 days to get the papers ready. I didn't trust the bank to hold the money after seeing how curious everyone looked. So I brought the cash to Mom's place and asked her to keep it in her safe. Mom, it's just for a few days, I explained, laying the bags carefully inside the safe. The safe was hidden behind a big painting in her bedroom. Nobody would think to look there. Mom's face was strange when she saw all that money. At first, she was shocked, like she couldn't believe I had it. Then something changed in her eyes. Something cold, greedy, like she was already spending it in her head. Wow, Maya, she whispered. You really worked hard for this. I smiled, trying to ignore the weird look she gave me. Eric walked in a minute later, and when he saw the money, he actually whistled. Dang, sis, 20 million? Why not give me a slice of that pie? I laughed, trying to keep it light. Eric, this is for my house. I'm finally buying it. He shrugged, but I saw something in his face too. A spark of anger, like he thought I didn't deserve it. For the next few days, I stayed at Mom's place to feel safe. Every night, I checked the safe before going to bed. Every morning, I counted the bags. And every day, I noticed Mom and Eric whispering to each other when they thought I wasn't listening. They changed around me. Mom was quieter, like she was planning something. Eric was too nice, offering to bring me food, trying to peek at my phone. I should have trusted my gut, but these were my family. They'd never hurt me, right? Wrong. That night, before I went to sleep, I checked the safe one last time. All 20 million was still there, sealed in neat bundles. I sighed with relief and went to bed, hugging my pillow like a little kid. My dream house was so close. Just 2 more days. But in the darkness, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Eric's voice kept echoing in my mind. Why not give me a slice of that pie? I told myself I was being paranoid. They would never steal from me. They were my family. I was wrong. I had no idea what was waiting for me the next morning. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I helped Mom make breakfast and set the table like always. But the mood was off. Mom wouldn't look me in the eye, and Eric barely talked to me. He scrolled on his phone, smirking now and then like he had a secret. I tried to keep the conversation light. Hey, Mom, I'm meeting the seller tomorrow to finish the house papers, I said with a big smile. I wanted her to be proud of me, maybe even happy for me. Mom forced a smile back, but it was thin, almost fake. That's good, Maya, she said softly. You really worked hard. Eric snorted. Worked hard? You mean you got lucky? Nobody works that hard to get 20 million. I frowned. Eric, you know how many hours I put in? I worked day and night. This wasn't luck. He shrugged and stood up, taking his plate to the sink with a loud clatter. Yeah, well, if you cared about family, you'd help us out more instead of running off to buy some fancy house. His words stung. I looked at Mom, waiting for her to say something, but she just stared at her hands like she couldn't hear him. I took a deep breath. Eric, I'm not leaving you. I just want a place for myself. You guys can still come visit. He turned around, his face twisted. Visit? Wow. Thanks for the crumbs, sis. We've been stuck here for years, barely surviving, and you get to buy a mansion? My heart dropped. I tried to think of the right words, but they wouldn't come. Why did they hate me for following my dreams? After breakfast, I went to check the safe again. I had to count the bags to calm my heart. 20 million, still there. I locked it and pushed the painting back into place, pretending everything was fine. All day, Eric avoided me. Mom was quiet, moving around the house like a ghost. I heard them talking in the hallway when they thought I was in my room. Eric, stop, Mom hissed. We can't do that to her. Why not? Eric's voice was sharp, cruel. She doesn't even need it all. We deserve something too. If we had that money, we could live like kings. There was silence. I waited, holding my breath. Finally, Mom whispered, Maybe you're right, but she's my daughter. Eric's laugh was bitter. She'll get over it, Mom. Think about what we could do with 20 million. We could leave this place, travel, buy whatever we want. I felt sick to my stomach. I wanted to burst out of my room and scream at them, but I couldn't. My legs felt frozen. Were they really thinking of stealing everything from me? That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Mom and Eric were still talking, low and secretive, their voices sneaking through the thin walls. Eric wanted the money so badly. He was like a shark circling blood. And Mom, I thought she'd protect me, but she sounded so tired, so ready to give in. I squeezed my pillow and felt tears on my cheeks. How could they even think about taking what I worked for? After everything I sacrificed? The house was supposed to be my dream, my safe place. I'd built that dream piece by piece, year after year, dollar after dollar. And now the people I trusted most were ready to smash it apart. But I couldn't let them do it. The next morning, I acted normal again. I smiled, helped Mom with the dishes, even laughed at one of Eric's dumb jokes. But inside, I was planning. If they were going to betray me, I had to be ready. I looked in the mirror and saw my own face, strong and steady. They might be my family, but I won't let them destroy me, I promised myself. No matter what, I would protect my dream. I couldn't sleep that night. I tossed and turned, listening to every creak in the house, terrified that Mom and Eric would try to sneak into the safe while I was still there. In the morning, I made a decision. If they were going to steal from me, I needed to stay one step ahead. I couldn't let my years of hard work vanish because of their greed. At breakfast, I tried to act normal. I made pancakes for Mom and Eric, and even smiled while pouring syrup on their plates. Eric looked suspicious, raising an eyebrow like he was waiting for me to slip up. Feeling generous, huh? He said with a fake grin. I shrugged. I just want us to have a nice day together. Mom smiled, but her eyes looked so tired. That's sweet, Maya. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I loved them, even with their flaws. That made what I was about to do so much harder. After breakfast, I went to the safe. I made sure no one was watching, then quietly took out the money bags. My heart pounded as I unzipped each one. The bills looked perfect, neat, and crisp. But what if I could swap them out? Trick them before they had a chance to trick me? I opened my closet and pulled out the stacks of look-alike paper I had prepared years ago for a prank video with friends. It was silly back then, but now it felt like a secret weapon. Each fake stack was cut and colored to look just like real bills. If someone didn't look closely, they'd never know it was worthless. One by one, I replaced the real money with those fake stacks. I kept just enough real cash hidden in a separate bag under a loose floorboard. If things went bad, at least I wouldn't lose everything. My hands were shaking the entire time. What if Eric walked in? What if Mom came upstairs? I listened so hard my ears hurt. But nobody came. When I finished, I put the fake money back into the safe and locked it. I stood there for a second, breathing hard. There. If they want to steal from me, they can steal air, I told myself. I walked downstairs like nothing happened. Mom was folding laundry and Eric was staring at his phone. I studied their faces, trying to read their minds. "Mom, tomorrow is the big day," I said, acting excited. "I'm signing the house papers." She nodded, but I saw worry flash across her face. Eric didn't even look up. I could feel it. They were planning to make their move soon, maybe even that night. I went to my room and closed the door, pressing my back against it. My heart felt like it was going to break in two. Why was I forced to protect myself from my own family? I remembered being a kid, how Mom used to braid my hair and tell me stories at night, how Eric used to beg me to play video games with him. Where did those people go? When did they turn into strangers? I wiped a tear away and looked around my small bedroom. I'd lived here too long. I had to leave. This house was a cage now. That evening, I heard them whispering again. "You ready?" Eric asked. Mom sighed. "I still feel sick about it, but we'll have a better life." Eric snapped, "It's not stealing if she's family. She should share." My hands balled into fists. Share? I was ready to share. Just not everything. I pretended to sleep while they walked past my room. Their footsteps were soft, careful, like thieves. I closed my eyes and waited. They didn't come in. Not yet. But I knew what was coming. The fake money was in place. The real money was hidden. Now it was a waiting game. I couldn't sleep at all. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mom's tired face and Eric's angry stare. I felt my heart beating so hard. I thought it would explode. I listened to the house. It was too quiet, like the calm before a big storm. Every tick of the clock felt like a hammer pounding inside my head. Then I heard it. Soft footsteps outside my door. I froze. Eric whispered, "Mom, are you sure the money's still in the safe?" Mom sighed, sounding like she was about to cry. "Yes, Eric, it's there." Eric's voice turned sharp. "Then let's go, before she wakes up." I held my breath, trying not to move. Part of me wanted to jump up and yell at them to stop, but another part of me needed to see what they would do, needed proof of how far they would go. I heard the closet door open in Mom's room. The painting scraped against the wall as they pulled it aside. My heart almost stopped. I pictured Mom opening the safe, her hands shaking, eyes wide with fear and hope. I imagined Eric's greedy grin. Mom whispered, "God forgive me," and I heard the click of the safe door. I squeezed my pillow. They're really doing it? Eric's voice was low but excited. "Yes, look at all this money." Mom didn't answer. Maybe she felt guilty. Maybe she was scared. I couldn't see them, but I could feel their energy, like two animals grabbing at food. I waited. Finally, I heard the sound of zippers closing. They were packing up the fake money, thinking it was real. Then Eric whispered, "Let's go. She'll wake up soon." They moved through the hallway, trying not to make noise. My throat felt tight, but I didn't move. I just let them go. The front door opened, then closed. Silence. I sat up, staring into the darkness. It was over. They had taken the bait. Part of me wanted to cry. This was my family, my mother, my brother. They betrayed me without even looking back. But another part of me felt stronger. I had outsmarted them. I stood up and went to check my hiding spot. I lifted the floorboard and peeked at the small stash of real cash I kept there. It was enough to buy my house tomorrow. Maybe not the whole $20 million, but enough for the down payment. The rest was in the bank, locked up in a way nobody could touch it. I smiled, though it hurt. You thought you were smarter, Eric. You thought you could steal my dream. I grabbed a blanket and curled up on the couch, too shaken to go back to bed. Morning came too quickly. The sun felt harsh and bright, showing every crack in my life. I tried to act normal. I showered, dressed, and made myself tea, but my hands were shaking so bad I almost spilled the cup. I looked at the empty hallway where Mom and Eric had stood so many times. Now they were gone, carrying worthless paper, thinking it was my future. I opened my phone, and sure enough, there was a text from Eric. "Thanks for your money. Now we can live our dream life." My eyes burned, but I smiled. "You have no idea, little brother." I replied, "Be safe." No more, no less. I didn't want them to know I'd caught them yet. I wanted them to feel the weight of what they'd done first, because this wasn't about money anymore. This was about trust, about family. I finished my tea, took a deep breath, and grabbed the keys to my car. I still had a house to buy. My dream wasn't gone. They might have tried to break me, but they only made me stronger. Tomorrow, I promised myself, I'll go get what's mine. And if Mom and Eric came crawling back, I'd be ready. The house felt empty after they left. I walked through the hallway, touching the walls like they might tell me what to do next. A tiny part of me still hoped it was all a bad dream, but it wasn't. Mom and Eric had really stolen from me. I sat on my bed and opened my phone again, reading Eric's message over and over. "Thanks for your money. Now we can live our dream life." It felt like a punch to my heart each time I read it, but I wouldn't cry anymore. I couldn't. I got up and checked under the floorboard, making sure my stash of real money was still there. It was. Enough for the down payment on the house, enough to keep going. I hugged the bag like a stuffed animal, then hid it back again. Mom and Eric thought they were living their dream now. I wondered what their dream was. Eric always said he wanted fancy cars and parties. Mom sometimes talked about traveling to see the ocean. Maybe they'd run to some beach and pretend they were rich. The sad part was they really believed that money would change everything. I tried to picture their faces when they'd finally open those bags and see what was inside. Stacks of worthless paper, fake money. Their dream would vanish in one heartbeat. I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. The house was too quiet, so I went outside and sat on the steps, letting the sun warm my face. I needed to breathe. I needed to think. I had an appointment with the house seller later that day. I couldn't let this destroy my plans. I had to go forward, no matter what. A car drove by, and for a second I jumped, scared it was Eric coming back to yell at me. But it was just a neighbor. I waved and tried to smile. Inside, my phone buzzed again. It was another message. This time from Mom. "I'm sorry, Maya. I hope one day you'll understand." Tears filled my eyes before I could stop them. Understand? Understand what? That they took everything from me? That they crushed my heart and my trust? I threw the phone onto the couch and covered my face with my hands. It hurt so much, more than I wanted to admit. After a while, I wiped my tears and stood up. I couldn't stay here crying. I had to go sign the house papers. I took a shower, got dressed, and grabbed my little bag of real cash. As I closed the front door, I took one last look at Mom's safe. It was still open, still empty, a reminder of what trust had cost me. I locked up and drove to the new house. The neighborhood was quiet and beautiful. Big trees lined the street, and kids rode their bikes on the sidewalks. It felt peaceful, like the kind of place where I could finally breathe. When I parked, I saw Mr. Grant, the house owner, waiting for me. He smiled and shook my hand. "You ready to make it official?" he asked kindly. I nodded. "I'm more than ready." Inside, the house was even better than I remembered. Warm wood floors, big sunny windows, a cozy fireplace. It smelled like fresh paint and hope. I signed the papers with a steady hand, even though my heart was breaking. I paid the down payment with my hidden cash, and when it was done, I had to stop myself from crying again. This was my dream. Nobody could take it from me now. When I got back to the old house, The quiet felt heavy. I walked from room to room, packing up what was left of my clothes and a few pictures. One photo was of Mom, Eric, and me when I was a kid. We were smiling at a picnic, so happy. I hugged the picture to my chest, then put it in my bag. I was leaving behind more than just a house. I was leaving behind the people I thought I could trust. But I had a new place now. A new beginning. As I stood by the front door one last time, I whispered, "Goodbye." I moved into my new house the next day. It felt like stepping into a dream, even with everything that had happened. The walls smelled fresh and clean, the floors shined in the sunlight, and the empty rooms were full of promise. I stood in the living room for a long time, just breathing, trying to let the pain go. But my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. First it was Eric. "Maya, you tricked us. What is this? There's nothing here but paper. Where's the real money?" I stared at the message, my heart pounding. They'd finally opened the bags. Then came Mom's message, trembling and broken. "Maya, please. We don't have anything. You have to help us." I sat down on the new couch and closed my eyes. I could hear them in my head, shouting and crying, realizing they had run away with worthless fake bills. Part of me wanted to laugh. Part of me wanted to throw up. They deserved it, I told myself. They tried to steal everything I worked for. But they were still my family. I texted back slowly. "I left enough for you to live on. The rest is safe with me." I had hidden a small stash of real cash in Mom's closet, under a pile of old blankets. Just enough for them to buy food and survive for a few weeks if they found it. I wasn't cruel, even though they had been cruel to me. Eric's reply came quick, angry. "How could you do this to your own family?" My hands shook. How could I? How could they do this to me? I took a deep breath. I had to stay strong. I put down the phone and looked around the house. Boxes were still stacked everywhere, but it was mine, my dream, my hard work. I walked room to room, imagining where I'd put the furniture, what color curtains I'd hang. For the first time in years, I felt truly free. Later that night, I lay in my new bed, the message from Mom still echoing in my mind. "You have to help us." I turned my face to the pillow. Why did it still hurt so much? I remembered how Mom used to make me hot tea when I was sick, how Eric would sneak me chocolate bars when I had a bad day. Were those memories real, or were they only sweet because I wanted to believe my family loved me? My eyes burned with tears. Maybe they did love me once. Maybe they still did. But money had changed everything. The next morning, I forced myself to get up and start arranging my new life. I put the dishes in the kitchen cabinets, folded clothes into drawers, and even bought a tiny potted plant to put near the window. It made me smile. The phone buzzed again. "Mom, we're scared, Maya. We don't know where to go." My heart broke all over again. I had to think carefully. I didn't want them to suffer, but I couldn't let them come back and ruin my life. Not after they tried to destroy my dream. I wrote back, "I will help you, but you have to be honest with me. Why did you do this?" No answer for a while. Then finally, Mom replied, "Eric was so angry. He said we deserved more. I didn't know how to stop him." I shook my head. It hurt to read that. Mom had let Eric lead her into stealing from me. I typed, "You broke my heart." She wrote back, "I know. I'm sorry." I held the phone to my chest and cried. Maybe one day I'd forgive them, maybe not. But right now I had to protect myself. I put the phone away and stood up. I opened the curtains and let sunlight flood the room. This was my house, my life. I would build my happiness again, no matter what. The next morning I woke up to sunlight pouring through my new window, but peace didn't last long. My phone buzzed again, another message from Eric. "Where are you? We need to talk. Mom is crying. Please." Part of me wanted to block him, but another part needed answers. I needed to see their faces, to hear them explain why they did what they did. I grabbed my keys and drove back to Mom's old house. It felt so strange walking through the doorway. seeing everything just the way we'd left it except for the empty safe, its metal door wide open like a wound. The place smelled like sadness. I checked under the old blankets in Mom's closet where I'd hidden the emergency cash. Still there, untouched. So they hadn't even found it yet. I sighed and texted them. "Come home. We need to talk." It took almost 2 hours before I heard the front door open. Eric walked in first, his eyes wild and desperate, looking so much older than just a week ago. Behind him was Mom, her face pale and wrinkled with worry. When she saw me, she burst into tears. "Maya," she sobbed. "I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Eric cut her off, yelling, "Don't act like you didn't want it too. We deserve that money. You were going to leave us behind." His voice was sharp like a knife, slicing through the house. I stood tall. "Eric, you could have just asked for help. You didn't have to steal." He shook his head, angry tears in his eyes. "You were never going to share. You always looked down on us." My mouth fell open. "I never looked down on you. I was trying to build something for myself. That doesn't mean I don't love you." Eric slammed his fist against the wall, making Mom jump. "You think I wanted to stay here forever? Broke, watching you get everything while I have nothing?" I swallowed hard, pain tearing through me. "Eric, I would have helped you. You just had to ask." Mom finally stepped forward, grabbing my hands with shaking fingers. "Maya, we were scared. Eric said you'd leave and never come back. I was so tired of living like this." Tears burned in my eyes. "Mom, you raised me to be strong. You taught me to work hard. Did you really think I'd abandon you?" She couldn't answer. She just sobbed harder. Eric kicked a chair over, rage pouring out of him. "It doesn't matter. You tricked us. You put fake money in that safe. How could you do that to your own family?" I looked him straight in the eye. "I did it because I knew you'd betray me. You proved me right." Silence filled the room, heavy and bitter. Eric's shoulders dropped. He looked defeated, like a balloon with all the air gone. I turned to Mom. "There's money under your blankets. Enough to live on for a while. I don't want you to starve. But you can't have the rest. That's my future." Mom nodded weakly. "I understand." Eric's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Maybe even he knew he'd crossed a line that couldn't be fixed. I took a deep breath. "I'll help you, Mom. I'll visit. I'll make sure you're safe. But Eric, you need to figure out what kind of man you want to be. If you keep blaming everyone else, you'll lose everything again." He stared at me, hatred and pain mixing in his eyes. But he didn't answer. I picked up my purse and walked to the door. "I'm going home," I told them. "My real home." Mom reached for me. "Maya, please, don't leave us forever." I turned back and gave her a sad smile. "I won't. But you have to earn back my trust." Then I stepped outside, letting the sunlight warm my face. It felt good, even with my heart in pieces. I had survived. I had my house. And I still had a tiny bit of love left for them. But they would have to fight to deserve it. As I drove away, I promised myself I'd never let anyone steal my dreams again. I spent the next few days trying to settle into my new house. The walls still felt empty, but at least they were mine. Each night I walked from room to room, letting the quiet remind me that I was safe now, that nobody could sneak behind my back again. But my phone didn't stop ringing. Mom called every day, her voice tired and small. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she begged. Eric, though, stayed silent. No messages, no calls, no apologies. That scared me more than Mom's tears. One afternoon, I decided to check on them one last time. Maybe to see if they were okay. Maybe to finally say what I needed to say. I drove back to Mom's old house. The minute I stepped inside, I felt how heavy the air was. Mom was sitting on the couch, holding a cold cup of tea, staring into space. Eric stood near the window, arms crossed, eyes hard and distant. He didn't even look at me. Mom jumped up when she saw me. "Maya!" she cried, rushing forward like she wanted to hug me. I froze and she stopped herself. Maya, she whispered again. We're sorry. I nodded slowly, but my heart was like stone. Sorry doesn't fix what you did, Mom. She bowed her head, tears dripping onto her hands. I know. I was scared. I didn't think you'd forgive me if I asked for help. That hurt the most, that she'd rather steal from me than trust me. I looked at Eric. Nothing to say? He glared at me, bitter and cold. You were never going to share. You think you're better than us. My chest tightened. Eric, I loved you. I would have shared. I wanted you to have a better life, too. But you stole from me. He kicked the leg of a chair, not meeting my eyes. Whatever. You got what you wanted. I felt tears coming, but I held them back. I got a house. That's all. I lost my family in the process. Silence stretched between us, heavy and painful. Mom wiped her eyes. Maya, what do we do now? We have no money. We have nowhere to go. I sighed, trying to steady my heart. There's still a little cash in the closet. Use it for food, for rent. I'll help you get back on your feet, but only if you promise never to do this to me again. Eric laughed, bitter and harsh. You think I'm going to beg you? I shook my head sadly. No, Eric. I don't think you will, and that's why I can't trust you right now. Mom reached out, voice trembling. Please don't leave us alone. I looked into her eyes, remembering every bedtime story, every hug, every smile. Memories that still felt warm even after everything. I won't leave you alone, Mom, I said quietly. But I can't fix what you and Eric broke. You have to do that yourselves. Eric turned away, staring out the window. His shoulders looked small, lost. Mom nodded slowly, hugging herself like she was freezing. I understand, she whispered. I stood there, breathing in the dusty air of the old house, feeling like 100 years had passed since I first trusted them with my dream. Mom, I said softly, I still love you, but I have to protect myself now. She nodded again, tears spilling down her cheeks. I stepped closer and gently touched her shoulder. I'll check on you. I'll help you when I can. But I'm going home now, and I'm going to live my life. Eric didn't turn around. He didn't say goodbye. That was the hardest part. I walked out into the afternoon sun. My car was waiting, quiet and clean, like a promise of a new beginning. I opened the door and looked back one last time. Mom stood in the doorway crying, while Eric stood behind her like a shadow. Maybe one day they'd find peace. Maybe one day they'd forgive themselves. I didn't know. But I drove away anyway, ready to start over. My house was waiting, my dream was still alive, and this time I would guard it with everything.